Welcome back to Season 6 of the Interwoven podcast. In today's episode, besties Gina and Lauren get intimate about their friendship, dating and relationships, and their relationship to their bodies in middle life. Gina shares with us her journey through breast cancer and her inspiration to start the Fondle Project, which provides resources and support for breast cancer survivors. They talk about how their friendships are lifelines that nurture emotional and intellectual intimacy, and how we need to shift the focus to lifting each other up. This season, we are thrilled to share support with Complex Creatures, a first-of-its-kind company dedicated to breast care. Breast cancer survivor Tara Elmore and her sister Lisa are on a mission to transform the way we care for our breasts, from puberty to menopause and all the moments in between. Thanks for being with us today. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gina Lauren. I'm an East Coast transplant living in Los Angeles now for about 25 years. I just turned 50 years old. Woohoo! Very excited to be entering this new chapter in my life. I'm a mother of two young girls. I have an 11-year-old and a soon-to-be 15-year-old. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I've been in remission for about 7+ years, and I'm also a fashion stylist turned entrepreneur. I've been doing fashion styling now since I'm 19 years old, and I've had my little private by appointment only studio for about 20 years here in Los Angeles. I am divorced. I've been divorced now for about 9 years, and I am happy to say and share that I co-parent these two little girls beautifully with my ex-husband, and I am currently in a committed relationship now with a man that I met online during the pandemic almost 4 years ago.
Hi, I'm Lauren Burchett, and I just turned 46 at the end of January. I am unmarried. I've never actually been married, and I'm fairly recently out of a relationship about five months ago, ended a long-term relationship. I am a native of Los Angeles and a dog mom. I am like a career girl, I guess you would say. I have worked in corporate America for 23 years and always worked in advertising and media sales, and am currently in transition. I've got some irons in the fire to potentially move into a new sales capacity, as well as starting my own sales consulting and tactical consulting business to help women thrive and connect with their consumers and celebrate their successes. Outside of work, I love a good DIY project, going to concerts. I make a killer cup of coffee. Yeah, I've been friends and known Miss Gina for, probably over a decade now, but I would say our friendship really, really blossomed and got accelerated, I would say, in terms of closeness over the last 5 years, and a lot during the pandemic.
Yes, during the pandemic, we bonded over being single and dating and doing the whole online dating.
Oh my God. Do you remember how crazy that was? I mean, I had FaceTime dates with people that I had never met, and it was what a crazy time that was. But I think all of us just wanted, I think, to connect, because we had no idea what was going on. It was just such a weird time where we couldn't see people in person. We were washing cardboard boxes.
I know. The one thing I will say that the one thing I will add that I loved about the pandemic, with the exception of having the kids homeschooled, the fact that there was no FOMO. When I knew where I could find you. I'd call you, I'd call Leslie, I'd call Stephanie, but you guys are going to be home, and everybody was available and accessible. And for me, I love that because I had that time to connect with everybody. Because outside the pandemic, pre-pandemic, and now post-pandemic, we're all so busy, and we have families, we have work, we have partners, we're just doing the juggle. And it's during the pandemic, obviously we all had a lot of free time. And I really love the fact that we had our scheduled FaceTimes. And if there was some kind of drama or something I wanted to share with you from an online boy or a date, I'd be like, LB, get this.
Yes. So just so everyone listening, if she calls me LB, that's me, Lauren. I have nicknames, and LB is definitely one of them. So,
yes.
But yes, I mean, I think we've kept up though on our daily sometimes multiple times a day, daily check-ins with FaceTimes in the morning. We just had one yesterday with our coffee, and we're like, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning and we're FaceTiming each other.
I mean, for me, and I think that you feel the same. For me, I mean, there's so much conversation today about self-care. There's all these, self-care, take care of you, take care, get the natural sunlight, do this, move your body, which I'm a firm believer, as you know, about everything wellness. Being a
Yeah.
survivor, a cancer survivor, I'm all about, self-care. But one of my connecting with you every day and my nearest and dearest girlfriends is a form of my self-care. Going for coffee, calling you on when we're walking the dogs, or that to me is a layer of my truth. I need that. You guys are my lifeline. So every day I look forward to connecting with you, connecting with Leslie, even if it's for 5 minutes, because you and I don't see each other nearly as often as we would like to, and you're 10 minutes away.
Yeah,
But
I know.
it's just the connection, and for me, which is funny, which I think you and I have said this to one another, like if after 3-4 days, I'm like, wait, I haven't talked to LB. Wait, is she okay? Where's Leslie? What's going on? Like I haven't heard from my girlfriends. So
Mhm.
for me, it is a form of self-care, and it's one of my lifelines aside from my children and my partner, obviously, but just hearing from you, just doing that quick check and making sure you're okay. Well, both of us are going through quite a bit right now.
Yeah.
There's lots of changes in our lives and transitions, and I think it's very important that we lean on one another, even if it's for a quick 5 minutes. Like, hey, are you good? I can make the time.
Yeah. And you and I are the same in that way. I feel like my friends are the family that I've built. And so those daily connections, even if it's like a text banter back and forth, is so important. But I was even saying, like, I saw my parents this past weekend, and I was saying to them that as human beings, we're all about connection. Like, we thrive on it, we need it. And if you can have, I was like listening or saw something on Instagram that somebody was posting that we could text each other and email every single day of our life and still not feel that connection, because that happens in person or face to face. And it's why, like, through the voice, I was thinking about how when my grandmother passed before my birthday in January, I had this panic moment where I was like, am I ever going to hear, I'm never going to hear her voice again. And I didn't have a voicemail saved. It was at that moment that I went pouring through my phone to see what I had, and in a shared album found a video of her giving me a toast at my 40th birthday. And it dropped me to like my knees in that moment. And I literally wept, because it was like hearing someone's voice, hearing someone say, I love you, hearing someone share all of that and connect truly it's life-giving. And I know we're supposed to talk about intimacy. To me, that is intimacy, being able to connect on various different levels with family, with friends, with people that come into our lives. Like, that's just one part of the intimate getting to know someone, and like the essence that
Of
we
course,
give each other.
I absolutely agree. Speaking of intimacy, let's
Let's dive in.
because I believe I mentioned to you very briefly something yesterday.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of talk about it a little bit because, I've been with CB for 3.5 years now,
Mhm.
and he's been a great support and he's amazing. And I love him with all of my heart. But, in relationships, so because I have so
Start
many
wherever you
thoughts.
want.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been single for the last 5 months. I've been in a
Mhm.
relationship for the last 3.5 years. And it's very interesting because I have my single girlfriends, I have my married friends, and I have someone like myself that's been in a partnership
Mhm.
for 3+ years. And there's pluses, there's pros and cons about all three of these, right?
Yep.
Right? So here I'm in a relationship, a committed relationship with somebody that I absolutely adore, but I find ourselves falling into a bit of a routine. I'm kind of trying to figure that all out. Like, I know it's very normal in a relationship to ebb and flow. I mean, I was married for, just shy of 10 years, and with my ex for 13, 14 years. So I'm just trying to figure that all out with having a partner, transitioning into the Fondle Project, a nonprofit, right?
Mhm.
Maintain my own well-being, my mental and physical, emotional health, be an awesome mom.
Which
Also,
you
I
are.
thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I struggle with that because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, and it's very hard. Now I'm diverting, but it's very hard as a successful woman that just hitting a new chapter in her life to not compare myself to other women or other mothers, or especially with this day and age of social media, like going down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole and like oh my god, she looks amazing. How is she getting dinner on the table? How does she look that fit and healthy? And it's just like it's just a constant struggle, and I do compare myself to other mothers and other women that are on similar journeys and stuff like that. But anyway, that's another topic of
Yeah.
conversation.
I
But
think we
go
all
ahead.
do. We as women are just like extraordinarily hard on ourselves. And
I
like,
for
I
sure
think
we
we're really
are.
hard on ourselves and
We're
compared to
very
each other.
We are very hard on one another. And I see that on the daily being a fashion stylist, because part of my job, as you know, is lifting women up, helping them find their confidence or regain their confidence after having a baby or after a divorce or a new transition. So women are very hard on themselves, and we have to change the narrative on that for sure. We have to continue to lift each other up and support one another and build that community, which part of who I am is about community and connection.
Definitely a
Any
future interwoven podcast.
For sure. So going back to relationships, yeah, I'll be like, I'm just kind of trying to figure this all out because it's a conversation I bring up to him often. And I'm just trying to figure out ways to it's hard. Like you fall into this routine of every day in and day out. But I know it's also very normal when you're in a relationship. But then like I talk to you or some of my other single girlfriends, and I'm like, God, that sounds so exciting and so fun. I'm not experiencing that, but I guess it has its pros and cons, right? So I'm just going through this stage in my life where I'm like, how can we can't really have it all. I'm making peace with that. Like I can't have it all. That's why I'm making the decision to choose one lane and move forward with the Fondle Project
Hmm.
and transition out of styling and close my studio because I'm not superwoman and I can't be the awesome girlfriend, the awesome mom, the best friend, and
Yeah.
all of these things and do all these. So I have to kind of pick and choose a lane. But since we are talking about intimacy relationships, I just wanted to kind of circle back on that. Like I'm kind of struggling a little bit, trying to find that balance, so to speak. And you gave me some good tips yesterday, and I will try them. But I mean, like, it's something that I'm going through, and I don't know what the workaround is.
Yeah. I think about like in on that theme, like in what we were talking about yesterday, like honestly, our phones are probably listening because I tripped upon, but also I follow all of these things. I tripped upon a Gottman-Institute post that they did where the post mentioned kissing your partner for a minimum of 6 seconds. Not just like the peck and run, because I think in all of our relationships, like even in my former relationship, like we would greet each other. It's kind of like fast or hurried. It's like a quick smooch. And then you get into like whatever you cooking dinner, doing whatever you're doing. And what the post talked about was to stop and to actually take 6 seconds and like hold the kiss or like make out a little bit or whatever. So that there's this moment where it breaks something stops in your brain, the busyness stops and the connection starts, right? That level of like
Mhm.
intimacy starts where you're there connecting with the other person and taking that time. And I think I related to your story because I think in the relationships that I've had, to me, that level of closeness and intimacy, non-sexual intimacy, is so important to me. Like I thrive on emotional and intellectual intimacy and all of these other aspects of really sharing what we have as as girlfriends, right? Like I think we talk about everything, we dive deep, we share all the stories. We're not afraid to call each other from bathtubs or
Right.
with no makeup or hair that looks like a rat
Right.
sucked on it, But I think it's in those moments where we're able to be like really raw and vulnerable as friends. And that's so beautiful. And I think it's sometimes hard to replicate that it can be hard to replicate it in a romantic relationship. Obviously, and I'll just preface, I'm a cisgender straight woman who dates men. And so that comes with different aspects of I'm dealing with straight dudes and who are in their 40s and all of that comes with it too. And I think there is this moment where I think we just need to pause and really see our partners and take that moment to really like connect. My best mornings with my ex were we would wake up and like we would just hold each other in the kitchen while I was making coffee. And it was like saying good morning and just having that embrace and just being held for like, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe 30 seconds, but it was a game changer of that. I felt more connected to him in those moments sometimes than, and it started the day differently for us.
For sure. I mean, there's also that physical touch, just the simple putting aside the kiss, right? A simple holding your hand or a warm hug from a friend or your partner is uplifting. It can just change. I mean, for me, I know that it can just totally, shape my day.
100%. Totally agree. But I mean, these are hard things because I think in relationships specifically, understanding what another person's definition of intimacy is and how it matches with yours. I don't know that we talk about like communication styles matching, sexual styles matching, but intimacy styles, I think I haven't seen a lot about that, but really that's something really interesting to kind of navigate, right?
Attachment styles.
Yeah,
It's love languages in some
totally.
way too, right? I mean, we all have, what is your love language?
So my top two are quality time and acts of service, followed by physical touch. Then there's gifts and words of affirmation.
I'm quality time with everyone in my life, not just my romantic partner. That to
Yep.
me means everything. And words of affirmation. Gifts I way down the list. Acts of service is, I can give or take.
Somewhere.
I feel like I'm the one doing everything all the time. That's another thing. It's like I think I mentioned this to you the other day. Like I'm in a point too in my life where between managing the kids, managing these businesses and launching the campaign, this project or the nonprofit, I don't want to make the decisions. I want someone else to
Yeah.
make my decisions for me right now. Don't ask me what I want for dinner tonight. You just decide. You know that I'm not going to eat red meat tonight, so just make something.
Yeah. Make something else.
I'm like, I got ankle biters and monkeys tugging at my feet, and now a dog. Like I'm making decisions for them every day. So it's just like I feel like I'm just in this. I don't know, this stage in my life where I'm just trying. I know I have a lot on my plate, but I'm just trying to figure it all out. It was funny. I was talking to a jewelry designer the other day that we're going to design a collaboration for the Fondle Project, which I think I briefly mentioned to you. And she was telling me how she's like, look, I'm all about this. I want to support you. I'm all about your nonprofit. I love your vision. I want to do this. Just sign me up. She goes, I've been doing my business since 1988. She's like, I do not have the bandwidth right now to design anything. You come to me with your ideas and we can kind of brainstorm. She's like, I'm going to go to you. She goes, I'm slowing down in my life. I want to read my book. I want to go up to Big Bear. I want to have a coffee with my partner. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me 2 years ago. That was me where I was like, oh, I'm in a good place. The studio, like I'll probably retire in like 5-6 years. This is great. And then boom, come up with this idea. And now it's like, wow. And I'm so proud of it. And everyone's been so amazing in the community and my friends have been so supportive, but holy shit, like I'm knee deep trying to figure out all of this. And I'm, and be the partner, be the mom and take care of myself and be the best friend.
In my last relationship, I spoke up. I was like, I need you to be kind of the rock right now. Cause last year, as you know, and for those listening, like I was laid off. My grandmother went into hospice. Like I was trying to look for work. I got hit with some really heavy life stuff. And add to that, just trying to figure all of a sudden, all the perimenopause stuff started to hit. And I was like, what's happening? Like, I felt like my mental health was all over the map. I was having highs and lows and trying to figure out what was going on. And it just like felt like an out of body experience. And I think where I relate to you in a different way from the circumstances is as women, we do a lot. I'm my own sole provider, as are you. But it's one of these things where it's like, I have my mortgage to pay. I didn't have a job. Like I had all of those stressors. We have all these stressors, whatever they may be. And then all the demands on our time. I found it really hard to be like, okay, well, what, getting together, and you mentioned it's just a simple thing. Like, what are we going to have to dinner for dinner? Please just make that decision for the both of us, because I've been making decisions all day and hustling all day doing my own thing, that I kind of wanted to feel taken care of in those moments and just have one thing to not have to think about. When I say that, I don't mean that, and I think you agree, like, not that I'm not thinking about my partner or wasn't at that point in time, or how to be there emotionally for them and what they were going through, but just take one small thing off our plate. To me, that is acts of service for me. That is like my love language. It's like, okay,
Right.
that I have spent 8 hours grinding. I don't have the energy, bandwidth, whatever you want to call it, to all of a sudden figure out, like, are we having chicken fajitas tonight that I'm making, or are we ordering something? And then also then the decision making around, like, what are you going to order? I'm like, listen, these are like table stakes, easy things. Please just take it off my plate. That's what I hear when you're saying that. Is it is something that's, we look to our partners at times, and not all the time, but sometimes when our burden feels a little heavier, to be like, can you help take this off? And
Right. No, exactly. I do want to add that I am in a very fortunate position because I co-parent so well with Steven, my
Mhm.
ex-husband. He helps quite a bit, and he participates, and he has the kids on the weekends. So I am very lucky on that note. Very lucky that we remain great friends and that we communicate. He still drives me crazy, but we communicate and we're still good friends, and he's great with the kids. But yeah, it takes a village.
We are going to take a quick break to get something off of our chests. No one loves talking about breast cancer, but given that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed, we think everyone who has or has had breasts should know about Complex Creatures. The first of its kind company is reimagining how to care for this often neglected body part. Founded by breast cancer survivor Tara Elmore and her sister Lisa, they're on a mission to elevate breast wellness from crisis to everyday care. Their 100% clean, plant-powered products are formulated for the unique needs of breasts. From scar healing and radiation support to PMS relief and lymphatic massage, Complex Creatures is an invitation to improve your relationship with your breasts. Get 20% off of your first purchase with the code LOVEMINE.
You and I we haven't talked about this in quite some time, whatever, and it's having a real moment right now, is
Hmm.
perimenopause and menopause. You mentioned that you've been going through some stuff, as we all are at this age. Like, what are you doing to man? I know you went to go see a functional medicine doctor that helped you with some
Mhm.
stuff, which has really helped you.
Yeah.
So how have you stabilized things? Like, do you find yourself, do you have mood swings? Like,
I definitely, so I'm not currently on any kind of like hormone replacement therapy. I tried a little bit of it. It's too much for where I'm at, but I've had a lot of really consultative conversations with my doctors discussing family history and the things that kind of genetically I'm already predisposed to. But things that I've started to do, I've focused a lot on my mental health. So focusing in on meditation, attending sound baths. I try and go for at least a 2 to 3 mile walk every day just to move my body and step away. I do weight training. I just,
Yeah, weight training's key at this point. I need to set that up. I feel that with all of this, these conversations have to continue. I love that it's getting a big spotlight, and I
yeah.
feel that we have to be having these conversations. I have one friend in my circle that doesn't even want to address it, doesn't even want to acknowledge it, doesn't want to, she's not comfortable with these changes. And I get it, but I feel like the more we talk about all of these changes, which are so normal,
Yeah.
sure, it's definitely, it hits us, but at the same time, it's nice to know that we're not alone, right? Like, oh, I'm moody.
Mhm.
Okay. It's my hormones acting up, and this is what's happening. Oh, right. I put on 10, 15 pounds because of this. Like these are conversations. Libido. I have
Yeah.
no libido.
Yeah. That's a fun change. That one definitely sucks. I don't think there's anything that kind of makes you feel quote unquote old as just not wanting to be like to have
Sexy,
no
sexy
libido.
time, but like I can't take hormone replacement therapy. So,
Yeah.
I have to come up with all of these fun new ways to kind of to get aroused, so to speak, because I don't have much of a libido lately.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the comment about feeling sexy. So like being 46, I'm watching my skin texture change. I looked at my skin and I was like, oh, this is getting a little like crepey and like little like, drier. I think it comes to like the feeling of feeling sexy and still feeling desirable and wanted. And I think that sometimes can be triggering in a relationship if like there's things like I would wonder if things weren't progressing or hot and spicy or whatever we want to call in those moments, it's like, oh my God, is it me? Because I don't know about other women, but I
It ain't
instantly go
you,
to,
LB, because you're
I'm
hot
like,
and you're awesome. So it's not you and it's not me
but
because we're amazing. And like going back to women,
yes.
to your remark, we are so hard on ourselves. Once we just lean into all the changes and what we're going through right now, and just we have to love ourselves. Part of what the Fondle Project is about too. It's about self-love, owning and
Mhm.
embracing every wrinkle and change. And and I think once we lean into that and just fall into like not worrying about what other people think or what they're
Yeah.
thinking, like you're a beautiful human being, you have a strong healthy body, we should be grateful for all of these things. We
Yeah.
need to remind ourselves every day, kind of like what Mel Robbins says every day. Like we have to high five ourselves and we have to talk kindly to ourselves and remind ourselves that we are. I mean, that's what I've been doing as I'm going through this low libido. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I wake up every day, like I am strong, I am sexy, I am beautiful, I am confident, like all these things just to kind of get me there.
Yeah. And I would say I do the same thing. Like when on my birthday, I was with a girlfriend. We were in Hawaii and she looked over at me and she's like, your arms look so strong. I don't think that I've gotten a better compliment, to be honest, in a long time. Where I was like, I looked at her, I was like, really? Do I have Michelle Obama arms? Like, am I working my way to that? And I think like one of the things you and I talked about too is, and this is taking us back to a conversation we had a long time ago about feeling strong, that when we're in the gym, we look at these like 20-year-old girls and we're like, oh my God, she's so fucking hot. Oh my God, she's so like her body is banging. And we never consider, and my trainer Zach had said this to both of us, is like, you don't consider that that 20-year-old girl is looking at us at 46 and at 50 and saying, fuck, I want to look like that in 20 years.
Exactly.
And I think like that sort of reminder and self-reflection to me is where I come in. I love my body. I am very proud of what it's able to do, what it's able to carry, what I'm able to do at the gym so that I can do all sorts of stuff around the house or the projects that I want to do. And I can feel strong and secure in my body. And I think that translates and radiates a different type of sexiness that only comes at this point in our life where we truly embrace all of it. Maybe like, at least for me, that's my case. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah. It's not just a pretty face. Like I have a strong body. I feed it well. It performs well. This is a high functioning engine. And I am
Mhm.
treating it like this super expensive vehicle that it is
Yep.
and worthy of. That's something to celebrate, even as things are changing. But I do have
Sure.
to admit, having conversations with a partner about perimenopause and menopause was challenging because it's something that is hard for a man to relate to. At least my ex-partner admitted, he's like, I don't really know what you're going through. Like, thank you for telling me, but I can, do my best to be there for you, but I don't really know. It's a tough one to kind of, at least based on my experience, was a tough one to navigate a little bit
It is.
to get,
It is for sure.
because it's not necessarily them. Like we're going through a variety of things and sometimes it doesn't make sense, which is really where I was last year. Like I was really confused. I'm like, what is happening? Like what is going on
Yes, a
with
lot of
the ebbs
changes.
and flows?
Just got to keep having the conversations. I going back to feeling sexy in our bodies. I have to say that, for many years prior to my diagnosis, but I did struggle with some self-esteem and confidence issues. And I went through cancer, which completely depleted my confidence. But after I healed from all the surgeries and really truly worked on myself and provided self-care, I have such a greater respect for my body, and it's my temple, and I take great care. And I feel like I'm grateful every day, and I'm thankful that it's gotten me through what I went through. I wake up every day just a reminder that I am strong and I'm beautiful, and that look what I've been able to endure. In a way, for me, it was like a blessing in disguise because I slowed down in life, but also like I have such a great love for my body and how it's healed and what it's put me through,
Mhm.
and how I'm on the other side of it and I'm much stronger.
And I
But then again,
having
also
moved
dating younger men back in during that time really helped too. Who are we kidding? You remember
I
that
mean,
stage?
oh my God. Yes, I remember that stage. I don't know if like you want to share anything about that with like the entire audience, but it was a fun stage.
It
It
was a
was a
fun
fun one.
6 months, just 6 months of extremely, extremely younger men. But at the time I needed it. They were great ego boosts and made me feel alive again and reminded me that I I felt whole again after, a
Yeah.
double mastectomy and everything. So I was like, okay, so it was definitely a bit of an ego boost. But then I came to my senses probably with you or Tina. I was saying, what are you doing? Realizing it was truly just a physical thing and moved on from it.
Which is, I think, which is fine. But when and if you want more, then are you selling yourself short by just settling for the one thing? I was having a conversation a couple weeks ago with some friends, some guy friends, and they were talking about like where they're at and wanting to develop more platonic friendships with women and really focus in on how to create those friendships and have intimacy that's like just not about having sex with women or that being the end goal. And it was one like really refreshing that I have these men in my life that are doing that level of introspection and friendships where they're really taking inventory of their lives, how they've moved through it, where and how they can accomplish their goals. I feel like we're on the precipice of men really having that kind of wake up moment to really see men starting to self examine and see where and how they can step in into their masculine, but in a way that is safe, that is strong, that's secure, that's not like ego macho, like masculine, which I think is often put out there, but really that, if I'm following things like that sacred masculine that provides that safe space for you to be like, I need you to just like hold me right now. And you can have friendships and fun and be playful and silly and have like all the levels of intimacy. I think that's something that's really, really interesting that's like starting to come about. And I'm beginning to see it a little bit in the circles that I'm in, which is really refreshing. But I think that also is something that just comes with time and age.
Mhm.
Again, I feel like these are guys that are in their like early 40s, really just trying to start to figure out like, okay, what have I been doing? Is this leading to the life that I want? And when we have those levels of vulnerable conversations with people, I think that that's where like the good stuff really comes out, where we can all like help each other to accomplish that. That's what we do every morning, is just riff and bounce off each other about our relationships and stuff.
Right. When I had my double mastectomy, I had a partner in New York. We had a bi-coastal relationship. He was amazing. He loved me, whatever. But he was the guy like, you got this. You're amazing. You're strong. All the things which I want to hear. But at the same time, I finally broke down like, can you give me the moment to melt, to grieve, to feel that I don't have it. I can't,
Yeah.
I might not be able to do it. Stop telling me that I'm this, and this, when really all I want right now is a safe space to cry, to not feel strong or whatever, And he just didn't quite get it. He was like, but like, you're super mom, but you got this and you're on the other end. I'm like, oh my God, just give me. So I didn't feel safe to be vulnerable and to have those moments, you know what I mean? Which taught me a lesson when with the relationship ended, when I started dating, even with these younger guys, I was very transparent. Here's the deal. I had cancer. I had reconstruction. I have good days, and I have some days I wake up in the middle of the night and I break down. Don't know what my future is, but this is who I am. Take me as I am with all my, I'm not going to be Miss Sunshine every day. Some days I'm going to be sad or scared. And I need you to allow me and to embrace these moments, these vulnerable moments. And some guys are like, yeah, I can't deal with that. See you later.
Yeah.
and some
The thing is,
welcome it.
yeah. I mean, the thing is two things can be true at the same time. You can be superwoman, rock star, lead singer, like main character energy, and also that tender, take care of me, feeling weak, feeling vulnerable, feeling allow me to ugly cry, like
Of
allow me the
course.
moments to just like do that. And I think in
Some men
most of
can't do
our
that though.
right, totally. That's where like I mean, Gina has seen me ugly cry. I've seen her ugly cry. We have been there in like very pivotal moments over the last 5 years as like our relationship is bonded. There is that desire to have our partners also hold space for us to be the tender and tender women that we are and like show that like underbelly and be held.
The question is, share a moment when I have felt the most alive. I have quite a few. I would say recently, the most it would have been last January for our photo shoot for the Fondle Project. I
Mm.
felt so alive and strong and confident and vibrant when not only being in front of the camera, being vulnerable and exposing my scars for the photographer in front of all the creatives, but having all the women together under one roof, all the survivors and thrivers, they felt just as empowered and strong and confident. And that to me was like, it gave me life, just bringing these incredible women together who've all walked through fire on this path and giving that moment to just shine bright and vibrate high. And I can say that they probably felt extremely alive as well. And I think that's probably my most recent. And another one was when I gave birth to Allie, my second child.
Mm.
I didn't have to I didn't have any drugs. I wasn't induced or anything. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like if pregnancy and birth can be like this all the time, I'll have more babies. Cause I struggled with my firstborn. I had a really bad experience with Ava and she was born premature. But I think that's probably, the campaign last January of 2023 is probably one of my moments where I felt the most alive and vibrant.
It honestly, I will add that having seen the campaign and the behind the scene footage, and I'm sure that everyone can go on to Instagram and see it, that vibrant, that aliveness translates. It is so apparent that that moment was like your life force just like pushed all the way through. You could see it. It was magnetic, and that's why it was awesome to celebrate the launch of Fondle with you in that regard. And really, I think that it is that aliveness that's translated to the success that you're seeing with the brand too, because it's your essence. It absolutely came all the way through.
It was an incredible day because not only that, I had my besties there and Charlie was there filming. It was an incredible day. I'm still riding the high. Yeah. How about you, babe?
When I was thinking about it, I mean, I've had a bunch of moments, but I would say the one that really struck out for me was several years ago. I went to Hawaii by myself for my birthday. The circumstances were a little wild and crazy of why I went, but I booked myself. So I was in Maui, and Maui has always been such a magical and super special place to me. And I booked a sunrise bike hike kind of thing up to Mount Haleakala. You go from like it being like warm, delightful, like Hawaii weather to it being like freezing, putting on parkas up at the top. But it was this morning where we're up at the top of Haleakala and it's national park and you have to make reservations. And the national park ranger was native and said a morning prayer to greet the sun. And it was like the morning of my birthday. I'm like going to get a little bit emotional because it was like, so I watched the sunrise on my birthday and I greeted the world. And it was this spiritual moment for me where I realized that that was also what I did when I entered the world, because I was born early in the morning with the sunrise. And it was just one of those special moments for me that will forever be like one of those things that was just like incredible. It absolutely just magical, incredible way to start a year with getting up with the sun and seeing it there's a lot of magic. It's a highly spiritual place. So it wasn't, none of it was lost on me.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's like one that really stands out for me of feeling super duper alive.
Well, this was super fun, babe.
I know. I love it. It's like our guys, this is like our morning conversations, except that we're having it recorded for many people to listen. I feel like people just got a sneak peek at like what we do every morning.
Right, exactly. And again, I put lipstick on for you.
I did too, and no one's gonna see it. Except you look gorgeous.
But
you look
okay. No, but this was great.
God. Yeah.
So thank you, Interwoven, for having us today.
Yes, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. I hope it resonates and speaks to other people listening. And we're all going through the same sort of stuff together.
And connect with your community. Connection and community is, again, I've used the word a couple times, a lifeline for sure. It's a form of self-care.
100%.
Thanks for joining us today in the Interwoven space. We invite you to give us a star review and to hit subscribe for a new empowering conversation each week. Visit our website for more of our resources, health guides, podcast episodes, and more at www.interwoven.com. That's interwovxn.com. With this project, we are creating space for women to share their stories. It is not meant to diagnose or treat a medical condition. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding your health and well-being. Special thanks to Gina Barrington for providing the Interwoven music. Until next time.